Welcome everyone to MMBS 111, the 1.3 mini lecture on microbes and their building blocks. There are 4 learning outcomes for this mini lecture. Name the 4 macromolecules and a function for each. Name a cell component of each macromolecule class. Describe the 4 levels of protein structure. Identify and describe the molecules responsible for containing genetic material. Describe the composition and function of ATP. This video will be created in 2 parts. We're going to focus on carbohydrates and lipids in part 1, and then part 2 we will discuss proteins and nucleic acids. So let's start first by talking about macromolecules in general. So a macromolecule is sometimes also referred to as a biomolecule or an organic molecule. An organic just means that it is composed of carbon. There are 4 main types of organic molecules or macromolecules, and those are carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. In this mini lecture, we're going to talk about each type of macromolecule individually, focusing on their structure, their component elements, and then where we might find them within the cell. A couple of terms you should be familiar with. First, monomers. A monomer is the subunit or the building block of a macromolecule. For example, amino acids are the monomers, so they're the building blocks of proteins. So they are the smallest subunit that forms the larger structure. And polymers are large chains of various lengths of monomers. So when you bond monomers together, then they form polymers. So let's begin by talking about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are combinations of carbon and water, and they are represented by the formula CH2ON, and the N represents any number. For example, if N is equal to 4, then the composition of my carbohydrate is C4H8O4. I would have 4 carbon molecules, 8 hydrogens, and 4 oxygens. So there's always an equal number of carbon and oxygen and twice as many hydrogens within the carbohydrate. All carbohydrate monomers end with the suffix -ose, and we have 4 examples here. Glucose, you can see here, is the structure of glucose. Glucose is a 6-carbon sugar, or a hexose, and it is the most common carbohydrate monomer, and it is used by our cells during cellular respiration to produce energy. It is also the sugar that is produced by plants during photosynthesis. Fructose, you can see the structure of fructose right here. Fructose is named after fruit, and it is the common sugar that is found in fruits. Lactose is an important component of milk, and sucrose, most of you should be familiar with, is table sugar or cane sugar. So when we combine many monosaccharides or monomers, we produce polysaccharides, and polysaccharides are large carbohydrates that contribute to structural support and protection in cells, and they serve as nutrient and energy stores as well. Some examples of polysaccharides include agar, which is an important component of culture media, which you will use in the laboratory. Chitin is a cell wall component found in fungi. It's also a component of the exoskeleton of insects. Peptidoglycan is a component of bacterial cell walls, and lipopolysaccharides are also cell wall components within bacteria, but it's only found within gram-negative bacterial cells. And then finally, glycocalyx. This is the external layer of cells. It's composed of polysaccharide, and it functions in cellular attachment to surfaces or other cells. It's also a site for various cellular receptors. Here's some examples of structure, and you can see that we begin with a monosaccharide, for example, glucose, and when we combine two glucose molecules, then we get a disaccharide, maltose. And then a number of monosaccharides or glucose molecules combined together form polysaccharides. An example of that is starch. So our next group of macromolecules are the lipids. And there are a number of different types of lipids, and we're going to talk about each type individually because their structures are somewhat different. So the first type of lipid we're going to talk about are the triglycerides. And triglycerides are very important for energy storage. They are composed of a single molecule of glycerol that is bound to 3 fatty acids. And these fatty acids can be saturated or unsaturated. And when we say saturated or unsaturated, we're talking about bonding. A saturated fatty acid is a fatty acid that has no double bonds. So the chain is straight. And this allows those fatty acids to compact together. Most solid fats are saturated. Unsaturated means that there are double bonds found within the fatty acid chain, and those double bonds change the orientation of the chain and add bends. And this prevents the fatty acids from compacting closely, so most liquid fats are generally unsaturated. For long-term storage, triglycerides are stored in droplets or globules, and they yield twice as much energy per gram as other storage molecules like carbohydrates. So lipids are high energy storage, and when we break them down, they produce much more energy. This is an example of what a triglyceride looks like. So when we take 3 fatty acids, as seen here, 1, 2, 3, and we remove the water, then we form a triglyceride. So here is our glycerol. Here's our ester bond that forms when we remove the water, and then here are the hydrocarbon chains or the fatty acid chains. Okay. Here are examples of fatty acids. This first one is palmitic acid, and it is a saturated fatty acid. So you can see there are no double bonds here. The chain is very straight, and this allows the fatty acids to get close to each other. Linoleic acid is an unsaturated fatty acid, and you can see that there are several double bonds here, and this adds bends into the chain. So these fatty acids are not able to move in quite as close to each other. Lipids are also an essential component of membranes. And membranes are composed of what are called phospholipids. They are polarized molecules that have a hydrophilic head or a charged head that loves water, and a hydrophobic or an uncharged tail that doesn't like water. And when we expose these phospholipids to a solution that includes water, an aqueous solution, the charged heads are attracted naturally to the charged water molecules. But the nonpolar tails, the hydrophobic tails, want to move away from the water. So we get these natural formations of single or double layers of phospholipids, and this is how membranes are formed. So you can see here, this is a phospholipid. Here's our phosphate head that is charged. You can see the negative charge here. Our glycerol, and then our fatty acids. And phospholipids contain 2 fatty acid tails. And when we put phospholipids in water, then they form these sorts of structures. So this is a single phospholipid layer. You can see the tails are protected inside, and the water is kept away from these uncharged tails. When we get double layers that form, the tails are pushed into the center, the heads face the outside where the water is going to be found. And this is how cell membranes are composed. And you can see an example right here of a cell membrane. There are a couple other types of lipids that we're going to quickly talk about. Steroids are lipids, and they are very complex ringed molecules that are found in cell membranes, and they are major components of hormones as well. They help to reinforce cell membranes in animal cells, as well as protect cell membrane deficient bacteria, which we'll talk a little more about in chapter 3. And finally, waxes. Waxes are an ester that's formed between a long chain alcohol and a saturated fatty acid. And waxes are really important for waterproofing. So the fur of animals, bird feathers, the exterior layer of fruits, that external cortex of leaves, human skin, all contain waxes, and those waxes help with waterproofing. They are also found in the cell wall of some bacteria, typically the mycoplasms, that are responsible for causing tuberculosis, and that wax in their membrane helps contribute to their pathogenicity. It makes them more able to cause disease and infect cells. So this is where we're going to stop for part 1. In part 2, we'll pick up with proteins and nucleic acids.